We want you to realize that even before you came into this body, who you are is liquid love. Who you are is pure positive energy. Who you are is what man wants to call God force. Who you are is supreme intelligence. Who you are could not be more worthy or more loving. That's who you are. As you came into this physical body and you began exploring for the express purpose of joyful expansion, as you began exploring, if you're like most people, you got more and more distortion into your vibration because you began observing more and more things that were not in vibrational sync with what the source within you knew about you or about your world. Today, there is so much conversation of problems and things going wrong. If we were visiting with you 100 years ago or more, you would be mostly only aware in moment-to-moment life experience of what was going on in your village. If it didn't happen very nearby, you weren't aware of it, and it didn't affect your vibrational frequency. But you live in this modern era of such supreme technology where your television goes all around the world and captures pictures and images for you to focus upon. So your village has become as large as your world. And now you have Facebook and Twitter. You have instant communication. You can't even make a decision to turn off the television without walking through the airport and seeing it somewhere. In other words, it is all around you. Your world has come to where you are, which means if you are to maintain your vibrational alignment with the way the inner being within you sees this world, then you have to do some pretty deliberate focusing. You have to decide what you're going to give your attention to, because your diverse world is clamoring for your attention. And if you are not disciplined, if you are not aware of frequencies, most important, if you don't care how you feel, you're answering the call of their clamor, and your thought or focus or attention is all over the place, and you're not tuned into the frequency of this magnificent well-being of this planet. Now, we want to say to you, there's no danger of you all getting on Facebook at the same time, or you all getting on Twitter at the same time, or you all watching CNN at the same time. While you might do those things, there's no danger if, having done that the whole lot of you would be so out of sync with who you are that you would cause damage to your planet. In other words, we are not for a moment wanting to set this up as some sort of warning that you need to save your planet by focusing upon the well-being of it. The well-being of your planet is assured. It is our promise to you that the collective consciousness that has set this earth spinning in its orbit in perfect proximity to other planets, that consciousness is holding that place marker, and your planet is a vibrational match to it. You don't need to worry about your planet. It is not in peril. The biggest risk that you are running is not being in sync with your own vortex, with your own vortex of creation. In other words, we're not encouraging you into the vortex because there's this immediacy, this imminent danger that we need to get as many people into the vortex as possible in order to save the planet. It's not like that at all. It just feels better when you're in there. And you deserve to feel good. It's who you were born to be, you see. And so we want you to focus yourself into alignment, because that and only that will allow you to be the joyful being that you are. Not just joyful because joy feels better than pain, or our appreciation feels better than depression, but joyful because all day, every day, you are taking step one of the creative process and launching the desire into the vortex. And the larger part of you, your inner being, the source within you, is tending to the vibration, holding it in the frequency of where you have put it at its highest frequency. And your work is to tune yourself. The step 3 is yours, to tune yourself to the frequency of what's in your vortex. And that is the only place that satisfaction of life comes from. That's the only place that your personal joy comes from. You cannot feel satisfaction at someone else's creation unless someone else's creation is in your vortex. In other words, as you care about one another, as your heart sings when others are magnificently creating, that means that your desire for well-being for those around you is strong and you're lining up with it. We want you to know that you have put so many personal things in your vortex, and when you start honing in to the vibrational frequency of the personal desires that you have carved out of this specific life experience, you will be on a vibrational river of well-being. And as others are watching you, they will say, look at that person, so vital and alive. Look at that person feeling so good every day. Look at that person making others feel good just being around them. Look at that person thriving on all fronts. Look at that person. What is the magic that that person has discovered? How does that person live in this world with so many things happen and be tuned to the frequency that allows only the best of everything to come to that person? It is our promise to you that in your vortex is full understanding of who you are and what you want. We know who you are. We can feel you fully. So when you come and visit with us collectively as you are here, what happens is together we will discover not only new ways to get from where you are to where you want to be, but new places that you want to be. This is co-creation at its best. It is our absolute knowing that as a result of this co-creative experience that we are having here together, that you will, in a more consistent way, find the frequency of the source within you. And that is our favorite part, because we will help you to tune your frequency upward to that of the source within you. And that really is the best work that we can do together. You could poke around on the problem, and that's fine because it launches rockets. But in this forum, we'll do very little poking around at problems and mostly aligning to who you really are. Because we've noticed that it is your human tendency. You don't mean to do it, but you are problem-oriented. You are question-oriented. You do poke around at problems more than it really serves you. So you poke around at these problems and launch more rockets, but poke around at these problems, what happens is you hold yourself in active vibrational attraction to the problem. So when you are a vibrational match to the problem, you cannot be a vibrational match to the solution. You have to find some way of distracting yourself from that problem. But if you're standing outside the vortex, if you've just gone to your mailbox and you have more bills than money, and you are in that fearful place of what to do, from outside the vortex, there's a backfiring that happens. Have you ever been in a conversation with someone that you didn't agree with? So here you are nose to nose, both presenting what you believe is the truth of the situation. And you're not having any of what they're saying, and they're not having any of what you're saying. In other words, it's just a stalemate. Nothing is moving. That's what happens when you affirm when you're outside the vortex. It's like you dig in and justify right where you stand. You don't mean to. But the vibrational frequencies that are surrounding you don't allow you the breakthrough that you are looking for. But if you were to find yourself after having a massage, or after basking on the beach, or after having a walk with your playful dog, or after playing with your children, or making love with your adored one, as you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on because of something, and you take that moment to affirm, now, it's like sweet music to your ears. Each sentence that comes into your mind feels more delicious than the one before. You find yourself tuning to the frequency. And this is the thing that we want to emphasize. If you will do the majority of your efforting from inside the vortex, however, the word effort isn't the right word from inside the vortex, because when you're in the vortex, there's no effort. Effort is what you apply when you're bucking a current. Effort is what it takes when you're trying to overcome the frequency. When you're in the vortex, it is effortless, but it still is focus. So what the terminology that we like to use is, when you're in the vortex, milk it. When you're in the vortex, savor longer. it feels good to do it. But the benefit of doing it is that the longer you stay there in that vibrational frequency, the more likely you are to return there, and the more likely that when you do return there, you will be able to maintain the frequency longer. You see what we're getting at? It is an opportunity for you to tune your frequency, to allow the vortex to tune your frequency, is a better way of putting it, to allow the higher vibration of who you are to pull the rest of you upward to that frequency. And it will happen every time unless you're beating the drum of some subject that's keeping resistance active in your vibration. You see how it works? That is as clearly as we have ever presented it. We are pleased that you heard it as well as you did. So, it is our full expectation that you will be tuned to the frequency of who you really are and all that you've put into your vortex. And all the days of your life will be positively affected by this magnificent creation, co-creation that we are achieving together. More and more are you coming to realize that when you focus, when you affirm, when you express from inside the vortex, the power of it. It's different, isn't it, than when you're not in the vortex and you affirm trying to get in, or you try to talk your way in. Haven't you found that once you're in the vortex and milking it, that your real work happens in that way? If you don't know that yet, you will by the time we are finished with you. Because we want you to realize that you can trim years off of focused intentions in order to bring about the manifested results. In other words, you just don't have to work as hard as you've been working. The effort factor doesn't apply from inside the vortex. And many say, but Abraham, it takes some effort to get into the vortex. And we say, we think there's something squirrely with that perspective. Because while we know that wherever you are in terms of what you're thinking and what you're feeling, and therefore what your point of attraction is, and therefore what's coming to you, we know that law of attraction keeps it going wherever it is. So if you're having a problem with something, if you're having a hard time over something, if you're worried about something, or if you're focused upon something that is making you feel uncomfortable or unhappy, we know that it's not an easy thing to all of a sudden just reach for the other end of that vibrational stick. In fact, it's not even possible to make that sort of a vibrational shift. So over time, we've been saying to you, don't try to make such a big shift. Just let it be an incremental shift. Let it be reaching for the best feeling thought that you can find, which is really all that you can do. But now you've been listening to us for a while. Now you're beginning to understand that you are vibrational creators. Now you understand that you are deliberate creators, that you've come forth as source energy into these physical bodies. And now you know about vibration in relationship to law of attraction. And now you're beginning to recognize that you have more control over your vibrational point of attraction than you have been believing before. And we want to show you how. From inside the vortex, in other words, when you're having a particularly good moment, if you will at that time milk it for more, if at that time you will focus in ways that allow the vibration to sustain within you, to reverberate within you longer, it is our promise to you that it will train you, that you will allow yourself to be trained by the source within you into the higher frequencies where thriving is your experience. We want you to experience all of the manifestations that you've been wishing for and hoping for and longing for and praying for. We want every one of those manifestations to become a vivid reality for you and for others to witness. But even more than that, we want you to become addicted, not just to the concept of the vortex, not just to the knowledge of the vortex, but to the feeling of the vortex. We want you to recognize when you're in there and to do the majority of your focusing work when you are in the vortex.